Walk into any grocery store in the US and you'll see rows of bottled water with images of glaciers, mountains, or sparkling springs, all promising purity, freshness, and natural mineral. But here's the truth most companies don't want you to know. A surprising number of these products aren't sourced from a mountain stream or protected spring at all. They're just tap water. The bottles are filtered, purified, and sometimes enhanced with minerals. But at their core, it's water that could have come straight from your kitchen faucet. And you're paying up to 1,000 times the price of regular tap water for that illusion. In this video, we're going to expose 5 popular US bottled water brands that are essentially tap water, explain why this matters, and show you what to look for if you want truly distinct, naturally sourced water. Number 1. Dasani. Dasani is one of the most recognizable bottled water brands in the United States, owned and distributed by Coca-Cola. It's everywhere. Gas stations, vending machines, airports, schools, and it's marketed with imagery that signals purity, cleanliness, and refreshment. Blue labels, water droplets, and minimalist design subtly suggest something natural and pristine. Most consumers assume that means spring water. In reality, Dasani is purified municipal water. The source is local tap water, which is then processed using reverse osmosis to remove impurities. After purification, Coca-Cola adds a specific blend of minerals, such as magnesium sulfate and potassium chloride, to create a consistent taste profile across the country. This process is clearly disclosed on the label, but only if you're actively looking for it. There's nothing illegal or unsafe about this. Dasani meets FDA bottled water standards and is subject to quality controls. The issue is not safety, it's expectation. Consumers often pay significantly more believing they're buying naturally sourced water, when they're actually purchasing highly processed tap water with added minerals. Another point worth noting is taste perception. Because minerals are added back in a controlled way, Dasani can taste noticeably different from region to region, depending on formulation adjustments. Some people find it slightly bitter or flat, which has been a long-standing consumer complaint. If your goal is convenience and consistency, Dasani delivers that. But if you're intentionally choosing bottled water for natural sourcing, minimal processing, or unique mineral content, Dasani does not align with that purpose. Number 2. Aquafina. Aquafina is PepsiCo's flagship bottled water brand and one of the top-selling bottled waters in the US. Like Dasani, it's marketed as crisp, pure, and refreshing, with packaging that features icy mountains and flowing water imagery. That visual language strongly implies a natural source, even though the label tells a different story. Aquafina is classified as purified water, which means it can originate from any potable source, including municipal tap water. In most US markets, Aquafina starts as local tap water and then undergoes an extensive purification process using reverse osmosis, carbon filtration, and ultraviolet treatment. The goal is to strip the water down to a neutral baseline. Unlike some brands, Aquafina does not add minerals back in significant amounts for taste. That's why many consumers describe it as very clean, but also bland or flat. This consistency is intentional. PepsiCo prioritizes uniform flavor nationwide, rather than preserving natural mineral variation. Again, the water is safe and compliant with FDA regulations. The concern is how it's perceived. Many buyers believe they're choosing a natural or spring-sourced product when they're actually buying processed tap water in a bottle. Aquafina is essentially bottled purification technology, not bottled nature. If your priority is neutral taste and predictability, that may be appealing. But if you're buying bottled water to access naturally occurring minerals or distinct regional sources, Aquafina does not provide that value. Number 3. Smartwater. Smartwater is positioned very differently from most bottled waters. It's marketed as premium, sleek, and science-forward. The name itself suggests something superior, water that's been enhanced, optimized, and improved. Many consumers assume that means a better natural source. In reality, Smartwater starts as municipal tap water. It is purified using vapor distillation, a process meant to mimic the natural water cycle by boiling water into vapor and then condensing it back into liquid. After that, electrolytes like calcium chloride, magnesium chloride, and potassium bicarbonate are added for taste. This process produces a clean, consistent product, but it's still fundamentally processed tap water. The electrolytes are not naturally occurring. They're added back in controlled amounts to create a specific flavor profile. Smartwater itself discloses this, but the branding focuses heavily on purity and innovation rather than source. There's nothing unsafe about Smartwater. It meets FDA standards and is tightly controlled. The issue is value perception. Consumers often pay a premium price believing they're buying something closer to natural spring or glacier water, when they're actually paying for processing and branding. Smartwater is essentially engineered water. If you want a neutral, consistent taste and don't mind added electrolytes, it serves that purpose. But if you're buying bottled water to avoid tap sources or to get naturally occurring minerals, Smartwater does not meet that expectation. Number 4. Nestle Pure Life. Nestle Pure Life is one of the most widely sold bottled water brands in the United States, particularly among families and budget-conscious shoppers. It's often marketed as a reliable, everyday hydration option, especially for kids. Pure Life is labeled as purified water, which means it can come from municipal sources. In many US locations, it does. The water is treated using reverse osmosis and other filtration methods. Then minerals are added back to improve taste. This is not spring water, and it's not marketed as such, but many consumers don't notice the distinction. The branding emphasizes wholesomeness, family-friendly messaging, and safety. While the product is safe and regulated, it is still processed tap water sold at a markup. The minerals added are for flavor consistency, not nutritional benefit. Nestle has stated that purification allows them to deliver the same taste regardless of region. That consistency is useful at scale, but it also means the water lacks the natural variation found in spring or mineral waters. Another concern raised by consumer advocates isn't safety, it's transparency. The source can vary by bottling location, and most consumers don't realize their bottle may come from the same municipal system they use at home. Pure Life works if convenience and cost are priorities, but if you're choosing bottled water specifically to avoid municipal sources, this brand doesn't offer what many people assume it does. Number 5. Kirkland Signature Purified Water. Kirkland Signature bottled water sold at Costco is often trusted because of Costco's reputation for quality and value. Many shoppers assume that trust extends to sourcing. Kirkland's purified water is sourced from municipal tap water and processed using reverse osmosis and filtration before bottling. It is clearly labeled as purified water, but the sheer scale at which it's sold can make people assume it's a natural source product. Like other purified waters, Kirkland adds minerals back for taste consistency. The formulation is designed to be neutral and broadly appealing, not reflective of a specific spring or region. The benefit here is price and reliability, not uniqueness or natural mineral content. Again, there's nothing unsafe about the product. It meets FDA standards and undergoes quality testing, but consumers buying in bulk often believe they're making a cleaner or more natural choice than tap water. In practice, they're paying for filtration, bottling, and convenience. Kirkland Purified Water is essentially packaged tap water at scale. If you want affordability and predictable taste, it delivers. If your goal is water sourced directly from springs or aquifers with naturally occurring minerals, this product does not offer that. How bottled water marketing shapes buying decisions. Bottled water is one of the most successful examples of perception-driven marketing in the US. The product itself is simple, but the branding is powerful. Clean fonts, blue labels, mountain imagery, and words like pure, clean, and refreshing trigger assumptions before a consumer ever reads the fine print. Most shoppers don't stand in the aisle comparing source statements. They grab what looks trustworthy. Companies know this. That's why purified water is often printed in small text, while imagery suggests something far more natural. Legally, this is allowed. Practically, it creates confusion. Another factor is convenience culture. Bottled water is positioned as a lifestyle product, not just hydration. Gyms, airports, offices, and schools normalize paying for bottled water without questioning its origin. Over time, that normalizes higher prices for something many households already have access to. This doesn't mean bottled water is a scam. It means branding plays a bigger role than sourcing in most buying decisions. Once you recognize that, the label becomes more important than the logo. When consumers understand the difference between source and treatment, they regain control, and that awareness, not fear, is what leads to smarter, more intentional choices. What this means for consumers. None of these bottled water brands are illegal or unsafe. They all meet FDA standards for bottled water quality, and from a safety standpoint, they're fine to drink. The real issue is transparency versus expectation. Most consumers assume that bottled water comes from a natural spring, an underground aquifer, or a protected source. source. But when a label says purified water, it usually means municipal tap water that has been processed through systems like reverse osmosis and then adjusted for taste. That's not inherently bad, but it is very different from what many people believe they're buying. This matters because price and purpose get blurred. You may be paying significantly more for water that offers no meaningful difference from what comes out of your faucet, especially if you already use a basic home filter. Marketing imagery of mountains, glaciers, and springs reinforces that misunderstanding, even when the label technically discloses the source. If your goal is water with natural mineral content, minimal processing, or a specific geological source, the label is the only thing that tells the truth. Look for clear terms like spring water, artesian water, or mineral water, along with a named source. Avoid vague language if authenticity matters to you. In short, bottled water isn't just about safety, it's about knowing what you're actually paying for. Better alternatives. If you want bottled water that actually comes from distinct sources, consider these. Number 1. Mountain Valley Spring Water. Mountain Valley Spring Water is one of the most transparent bottled water options available in the United States. It is sourced from a protected natural spring in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and bottled directly at the source. Unlike purified municipal waters, Mountain Valley is not created through reverse osmosis and then rebuilt with added minerals. The mineral content occurs naturally as the water flows through underground rock formations. What makes Mountain Valley stand out is consistency and disclosure. The brand openly publishes its mineral profile, including naturally occurring calcium, magnesium, and bicarbonate. There are no artificial additives, no flavor adjustments, and no vague sourcing language. You know exactly where the water comes from and how it's handled. Taste-wise, the water is smooth and neutral, which reflects its balanced mineral composition rather than heavy processing. It's often chosen by people who want bottled water that actually reflects its source, not one engineered for uniformity. This isn't budget water. But if the reason you buy bottled water is to avoid processed municipal water and get something closer to nature, Mountain Valley actually delivers on that promise. You're paying for origin, protection, and minimal intervention, not marketing imagery. Number 2. Evian Natural Spring Water. Evian is sourced from a protected spring in the French Alps and bottled at the source. The water's mineral composition comes from natural filtration through glacial sands over many years, not from added minerals after processing. That distinction matters for people who care about authenticity rather than consistency alone. Evian's mineral profile is stable and clearly listed, with naturally occurring calcium, magnesium, and silica. There's no reverse osmosis, no municipal source, and no remineralization step. What you drink reflects the geological environment the water comes from. Some people criticize Evian for being expensive, but cost aside, it is one of the clearer examples of true spring water sold at scale. The taste is mild and slightly mineral, not flat like purified tap water, and not aggressively mineralized either. Evian also benefits from strict European bottling and sourcing regulations, which emphasize source protection and water integrity. You may be paying more than you would for purified water, but you're not paying for processing. You're paying for time, geology, and preservation. If your goal is water that hasn't been stripped down and rebuilt, Evian fits that category cleanly. Number 3. Gerolsteiner Mineral Water. Gerolsteiner is fundamentally different from most bottled water sold in the US. It is a naturally carbonated mineral water sourced from volcanic rock formations in Germany. The minerals in Gerolsteiner are not added. They are present at high levels naturally. This water contains significant amounts of calcium, magnesium, potassium, and bicarbonate. The mineral content is high enough to meaningfully contribute to daily intake, which is why it tastes noticeably different from purified or lightly mineralized spring waters. Because of that mineral density, Gerolsteiner isn't for everyone. Some people find it too strong or too fizzy. But if you're choosing bottled water specifically for mineral content, this is one of the few options that actually qualifies. Gerolsteiner publishes detailed mineral analyses and bottles at the source. There's no municipal water involved, no reprocessing, and no ambiguity about origin. The carbonation is natural, not injected as a processing step, and this is a good example of water that serves a specific purpose. It's not about neutrality or mass appeal. It's about mineral integrity. If that's what you want, Gerolsteiner is one of the most honest options available. Hashtag 4. Acqua Panna. Acqua Panna is a still spring water sourced from Tuscany, Italy, and bottled at the source. It's known for its smooth texture and low acidity, which comes from slow, natural filtration through underground aquifers aquifers rather than aggressive treatment. Unlike purified waters, Aqua Panna is not stripped and rebuilt. Its mineral profile is light but naturally occurring, with modest amounts of calcium and magnesium. The taste is soft and clean, which is why it's commonly used in fine dining settings where water shouldn't overpower food. Aqua Panna clearly identifies its spring source and does not rely on vague language like purified or enhanced. There are no added minerals, no flavor adjustments, and no municipal sourcing involved. This water isn't marketed as functional or performance focused. It's marketed for origin and taste. That honesty matters. If you're choosing bottled water because you want something minimally processed with a clear source, Aqua Panna delivers exactly that. It's not a necessity, but it is a consistent example of what real spring water looks like when branding aligns with reality. Number 5, local or regional spring water brands. One of the most overlooked options is locally or regionally sourced spring water. Many US regions have smaller brands that bottle from nearby springs and sell within a limited geographic area. These waters often have less processing, shorter transport distances, and clearer sourcing information. The key is the label. Look for bottles that explicitly say spring water and list a named spring or geographic source. Avoid vague terms like purified, public water source, or enhanced with minerals. Local spring water brands often don't have massive marketing budgets, which means less reliance on imagery and more reliance on transparency. Some publish annual water quality reports and mineral analyses similar to larger premium brands. These options can vary in mineral content and taste depending on geology, but that variation is actually a sign of authenticity. Natural water is not identical everywhere. If your goal is to avoid processed tap water while supporting clearer sourcing and often lower environmental impact, regional spring water is frequently one of the best choices when labeled and sourced properly. Buying bottled water in the US doesn't have to be confusing, but perception matters. Many top-selling brands are nothing more than tap water in a fancy bottle, purified, filtered, and flavored with minerals. That's fine if you value consistency, but not if you're paying for a natural source. Always check labels, understand the origin, and consider truly distinct spring or artesian waters if that's important to you. By being informed, you save money, make better choices for your family, and avoid paying a premium for something that could come straight from your faucet. If this helped you see the bottled water aisle differently, make sure you check out our other videos breaking down everyday products most people never think twice about. Subscribe for more clear, research-based consumer breakdowns, and share this with someone who still thinks every bottled water comes from a mountain spring.